not disturb. And I might have to take the Wi-Fi off. Peace. Hey, y'all. Oh, that's I'm off a little water. Peace, peace, peace. Hey, Pumpkin. I'm not gonna put it up, but all my people should know that this is our last Q&A for my Goddess Awakening class for the year. Last Q&A for the year. Before we get into the QA, I want to look, do our church announcements. We're gonna do our church announcements right now. One, the pre-order of the book has been put up on my website. Next week, I actually have both sites that you can get the book and where it's available at. I ain't never lied. I'll tell y'all, I know. The shifts come. Also, I'm doing a mentorship program next year that goes with the workbook that I actually released. And there's going to be a journal that's going to be released this month. Are we in December yet? Not yet. Next month. Okay, so the mentorship program, there are only 10 spots available. I'm only doing 10 people, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 10. The mentorship program, you actually are either going to be in, if you're in the city, we'll have one-on-one meetings twice a month. If you are not in the city and you are online, we can schedule it to be virtual. The mentorship program will include me walking you through your own growth and kind of structuring something specific for you for 6 months. So instead of me doing certain stuff that I've been doing, I'm actually going to do 10 spots. That's available online. There's a personal one, and I think there's an advanced one. Or there's like a basic level and an advanced one. So there's 2 different ones, and both of them are 10. It's only 10 spots for each. And then I also did a consultation package. So the consultation package, if I'm not mistaken, you either get 6 readings or you can get 12. And if you pay for them, like they pay for, you can pay for them in a bundle. Right now, if you pay for them, it's way cheaper than what my readings are going to be next year. And y'all still got the advantage of using the sale, which I don't know if y'all realize that, like I got a sale going on with the black 50 and black 20, I want to say. So you can use those, and that goes towards those dynamics, and it takes like 50% off on consultations or 20% off on, I think, just the book or anything else that's on the website. So this is a great time for you to do something, because it's probably the only sale I'm going to do besides when it's my birthday. And I think that's it. Okay. Remember next month that I will not be online. But I am going to make sure that my posts stay regular. So my posts will still be going, because I always put those in the automatic poster anyway. And then my wonderful tribe, I'll probably have 1 or 2 people that will come in and actually be doing stuff like readings for y'all still for the new moon and a full moon. And do a couple of other things, okay? So, gonna be a long month. You're so silly. But I got y'all. Y'all gonna be a good hand. Enchanted Hive is gonna take over and help. And then Self-Care, I can't remember her whole thing, but she's Goddess Kristen will come on and help out as far as just keeping things going. One of them I know is really, really important next month. So I'll probably be on here for that one, just because I want to make sure that I give y'all the insight before we head out of December. But majority of December, I'm definitely not going to be online. All right. So let's get into this Q&A. This is our last Q&A for Goddess Awakening 1 and 2. First thing is first, if you were not able to print your stuff out for whatever reason, and it should be open now where you can go straight through all the courses without having to complete one to get one out. Grand Rising, everyone coming in. So, all the people who did not get to print it out, or for some reason you didn't get something downloaded or whatever, what I am doing is including it in an email. It's going to be a huge file that's going to come to an email. So just be prepared for that. I'll make sure I group email all of y'all, so y'all have all the information. If you have not emailed me in my personal email yet, make sure you do so before the day is out, just so I can make sure I forward you this link. But I think I got everybody's email that's in the class. I'll shoot you an email today just to say, hey, check your emails. Make sure that you look for this whole download and printout of the whatchamacallit. You can't wait for the workbook. It's a good workbook. I actually be going through it myself. So that's one of the biggest things. The workbooks is going to be my favorite, and that's what I'm focused on next year. Somebody asked me why did I go that direction the way that I'm going. The one thing that I've been noticing on this journey is, like, sometimes we get so caught up in wanting to learn all these other dynamics, like listening and hearing spirit, candle magic, herb magic, all the other dynamics. But we don't take time to really understand who we are and what it is that we need to learn about ourselves, our structure, our foundation. Because honestly, if you have not mastered yourself, you shouldn't even be playing with none of the other stuff. If you have not mastered yourself, you shouldn't even be picking up a book on voodoo. If you have not mastered yourself, you don't even need to be looking at no Ifa. So it is a dynamic that is happening because now spirituality is trending for whatever reason. One side of me feel like it's a good thing because it makes everyone become aware. But the other side, I'll be like, I'll be getting frustrated. So, this is a process, beloveds. This is a journey. It's not something that you just pick up, and now you feel like you healed and you've mastered yourself within a couple of months, within a year. It takes real work. This is a consistent journey. This is something that, like, you can't say that I figured out what my Chiron and they say I'm bad with money, and now all of a sudden I feel like I done mastered that aspect of my finances within like a month. No, it takes work. You got to sit there and, it's almost like going to school. You got to sit there and master that trade. You can't go to a doctor school or a school for science and say you want to be a doctor and they only make you take one class and you done. No. Not only do you got to take classes for a long period of time, but on top of that, you got to figure out what's your specialty. You got to actually focus in on an area of concentration. So quit handling yourselves like you are something that easy, like you a cooking class. Okay? This take time. Even if you take a cooking class, you still got to master your art. Everything that you do means that you have to master yourself. Okay? So make sure you're really, really doing your due diligence. Don't get caught in the hype. Don't get caught up in the hype of wanting to know everything about an Orisha. That ain't getting ready to save your ass if you do not know who you are. That's not going to get you out of the lost space. Okay? You not knowing who Mama Bridget is, that ain't going to get you. She not going to help you get out of that space. Does she have the capability? Yes, but you have to know who you are first. You have to know your direct connection. You have to know your lineage. You have to know what makes you, do the things that you do. What's connected to your generational curse. Y'all more concerned about studying about these deities and orishas and all these other energies and not really taking the time to even know who your great-great-grandma was. I'm just saying. So be in a space that you are very intentional. Be very patient. Do not blow this over and feel like it's going to be overnight. I tell y'all all the time, I'm like, I've been on this journey for a long, long time. I knew a whole lot of stuff. Like books on top of books. I done forgot books that I done read. That's how long I've been doing this. But at the same time, it took me to get into my 30s, basically, to click and say, I ain't applying none of this shit that I learned. I was applying little stuff here and there. But was I like consistent and creating a daily routine that I knew that no matter what, that daily routine was a part of my life, no matter where I was at, no matter what it was doing. So it could help me stay centered, so it could help me master who I am. And most of the time, like at that time, the answer was no. I was too caught up in making my coins. No, let me get my coins. I ain't got time to meditate. Let me get these coins real quick. So you got to be in a space where you have committed to yourself. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna at least say a minimum of 3 years. You need to be like in a space where you committed to yourself and your own personal journey and your self-growth for a minimum of 3 years. This is a lifetime process, but a minimum of 3 years before y'all start like wanting to get initiated and stuff, before you start. Because what'll happen is y'all will get into that type of stuff and you're gonna have a real tower moment. You're gonna get into certain dynamics and you're going to have some things start crumbling down around you because you weren't standing firm in who you were. You have to know who you are at the core. If you don't know who you are at the core, when you get into these organizations that are still a version of organized religion, I'm telling you, when you get into those dynamics, what's going to happen is they're going to sway you more to their direction and what they want you to believe because you don't have a firm grip on who you are. So you want to make sure that you are strong at your own core. You want to make sure that you're not looking or seeking validation in no one else, no other organization, no other person. You want to make sure that you're being very intentional on what do I need to do to better myself. Period. That's it. That's the most important part of this whole journey. Like, it shouldn't be about anything else. Okay? It shouldn't be about anything else. Yay, congrats. And celebrate. Goddess of Light. Y'all got to start celebrating these milestones. When you realize that you have made it a year, 2 years, really being intentional and working on yourself. Celebrate. That's something to celebrate. A lot of people don't make it. A lot of people don't make it. And what me and one of my other sisters that, we tend to look at as an elder too. We were talking about the fact that we're really trying to keep y'all from running into some of the same walls that I see that we've ran into and some of the same walls that we see other people run into. What typically happens is if you're not strong in yourself and then you go in these different dynamics, you're gonna get burnt, you're gonna get scarred, you're gonna get taken advantage of. It's gonna make you want to walk away. One organization in particular that I was dealing with when I was younger, they made me walk away because I realized that they were at that time I put them on a pedestal and I idolized them because I felt like, this was a different type of thing, a different way of life. So I didn't expect for them to still have human characteristics, let's say that. I didn't expect for them to still be dealing in pettiness or envy or jealousy or none of that. So when I got in it, I just was like, and that stuff started coming out and I was being attacked from that perspective because of a situation. It shut me all the way down where I was like, I'm not dealing with y'all. I could deal with this at the time, I used to be calling them 85ers. I could deal with this with the 85ers. Like, why I'm over here with y'all? I can deal with jealousy, envy, lies, deceit over here with regular people. I'm supposed to be over here being with the so-called woke conscious community. Okay? So do the work. Do the work. Take time. Don't feel like you got to rush to get nowhere. I promise you, if you actually learn who you are and you get so like grounded in your own structure and your own core, when you come across certain stuff that you might want to start initiating in, so let's say you want to be a priestess in Ifa, you are so strong in who you are that it just amplifies that dynamic, okay, on a whole nother level, okay? And then still you have to kind of, I'm in a interesting transition, so my ideology when it comes to all those organizations is different, but you still have to question what is it about that particular organization that is calling your name. What is it that you seek from them? What do they have to offer you? That's really what you should be. It should be like a job interview. What do y'all have to offer me? Because if you don't have nothing to offer me besides information, I need to, really think about it. So, be mindful. That's what I will say. Be mindful as y'all proceed on your journey. All right. So, anybody in the class have any questions before I get to, like my mentor, one of my mentors, Dr. Africa, say, before I go into one of these sidebars, getting drunk in the sidebar. Be like, I thought we was talking about something totally different. So much for my truth and love, the transfer. Oh, I say, y'all gonna always get the real from me. Always. You can always guarantee. I've been saying since the beginning, y'all don't never know what you're gonna get from me. Let's be clear. I'm gonna always be real and honest, because I understand what this journey is about. I really want y'all to really be in a space where y'all are being authentic to who you are. Be authentic. Be so authentic. Be so genuine to who you are. Don't feel like you gotta like bend and change, for other people or what it looks like. Because a lot of times we get in the spiritual journey and y'all feel like it look a certain way. Child, it'd be the most head wrap, bendy wearing, got henna all over them, African down people that could be some of the most corrupt in this whole dynamic. You see a rainbow fish? That could mean a lot of things. Fish is abundance, though. I love you too, boo. I'm glad I've seen so many of y'all grow. Let me say this. I've seen so many of y'all grow. I'm so proud of y'all. Queen Kels, I don't say much, but I do see what you're doing. I've seen your growth, beloved. You're doing some amazing things. I'm really, really super proud of you. King Chaz, you already know how I feel about you. I already know, sometimes I got to pull my mama voice out on you, but I'm so proud of you because I feel like you are walking in your purpose. And it's a beautiful thing to see people walking in purpose. It's another sister. Her name is, I think the name of her business page is Comedic Solutions. I might be getting that wrong. Comedic Solutions. I've been following her and paying attention to what she's been doing. So it's a lot of y'all that I've seen y'all transform from the beginning of this journey. Some of y'all been rocking with me since day one of me doing this. So I appreciate the love from all of y'all. Some of y'all, I laugh because everybody always be like, I don't know how I found you. I don't know how you found me either. It's crazy, lady. But I know everything it happens in divine order. So everybody that gravitate to me, I feel like have a certain energy. And I'm just the bridge. I feel like I am just the bridge between where you were and where you getting ready to go. So I'm excited about that part. I'll be giving you a spiritual whooping. I know. I know. I know. Somebody said they was lost. Hold on, let me go back. With love, you say you lost. You lost in the class or you lost, period? I appreciate y'all too. I appreciate you too, Kiki. My son in there tearing up stuff. The class, take your time. And it might not be time yet, beloved. The stuff that you're learning or that you're trying to digest, it might not be time. Okay? It might not be time. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Sometimes you'll get information, and if it's not time for you to digest that information, if it's not time, don't force it. Be still. The shift has you lost and you're a mess. Oh, you can't find your stuff. Oh, we need to talk then before I go on this. Let me know if you got time available to talk real quick with love today. Okay. Now, I told all of y'all, just as the collective in general, that the shift that is going to be happening in this last month is going to be very, very... Ice is doing the most this morning. It's going to be very impactful. Okay. Please, please take care of yourself. Please, please do things that are going to initiate self-care for you, because if you don't, you're going to feel like you're getting beat up, to say the least. This last part of the year is all about really making y'all focus. Pay attention to stuff that you need to release. Pay attention to what y'all still holding on to, that you're being resistant to. Paying attention to what do you really want. This is when you start having the emotion and anxiety of what do I want? What is coming into me in the future? So you got to be in a space that you're doing really a whole lot of self-love, being very patient for yourself, so you can not let this energy overwhelm you, so you can be in a good space moving forward. Okay. So don't get impatient. Don't get frustrated. Really sit there and identify what is making you feel lost, because none of this is a destination that you get into. Everything you need is already in you. Your higher self is already there. So you're not trying to find your higher self. It's already present. You just got to drown out and mute out all the other energy. So you got to be in a space. Don't allow this energy that's going on in the universe right now to knock you off course. If you feel lost, meditate. Yeah, I know y'all hate that. But meditate. Are you meditating? Are you sitting still? If you feel like you are having a hard time with meditation, maybe your mind is racing when you're sitting still, try doing Tai Chi. Try doing like what I call sacred movement and breathing. Okay? Do something that is going to switch it up, so you can be more intentional about how you're connecting to breath. Because meditation is two things. It's how we connect to breath, but it's also how we listen to spirit or higher self. So don't that's going to be really key going through all of these dynamics. Don't make yourself frustrated or create anxiety for yourself for no reason. So meditate. Figure out what's the best way of meditation for you. Create the environment and the routine. Yes, go hug a tree. I don't know, it's cold. I ain't been doing a lot of tree hugging lately. It's cold. I don't like hugging trees when it's cold. But yeah, do some things that are going to help you connect to who you are. If you feel like you don't know who that is, I always tell people to go back to the basics. Remember who you were as a child before you got scarred. before you got, conditioned. Try to remember who you were. What type of child were you? Were you an energetic child? Were you, busy bee? I know I'm going to have some stories for my son when he get a certain age. Who are you? Who were you? Really take the time to remove all dynamics of the extra stuff before you became a mother, before you became a wife, before you became a girlfriend, baby mama, whatever. Who were you at the core? Okay. Who were you at the core? And why were you that? What were you thinking about? You got to be real intentional, y'all. I can't say no other word but that. And I tell y'all all the time, my greatest growth was in silence. Which is i.e. why I'm trying to make sure I be quiet this month to prepare for next year. So, even with the class, take your time with them charts. Don't get overwhelmed. Look at the basic information. Don't be sitting there trying to figure out, what is my sun conjunct with Venus? Don't do that. Don't do that. You just want to see, where is my sun house? You should know that because that's your birth sign. Okay. What is my rising? What do they say normally happen to people with this rising? Okay. Quiet and creative. Me too. I was quiet and creative. I was in there recording stuff on my boombox when I was little. I was recording my own songs. How do you overcome hurt in a healthy way without pretending nothing happened? There's two things that I like to do with hurt. So one, start looking at it differently. Not looking at it as a hurt aspect, but looking at it as a lesson. This was an opportunity for you to grow. Even if it's in the most craziest dynamic, because people always be like, well, me being abused, how do I look at that as an opportunity for growth? You have to understand that everything is intentional for this particular journey. Okay? Everything is intentional in this particular journey. So when certain things are set, it's so other things can be triggered in our life. So you have to understand, okay, this might not have been the most pleasant moment in my life, but it happened. Now, make sure you're not holding no anger, no grief towards anyone, even the person that might have been involved in hurting you. Okay? I remember what I went through, my anger not only was towards that person, but it was also towards my father, because I felt like I was unprotected. He didn't even know what was going on, and if my father did, he probably would have killed that man. So, listen, it was but now I understand that I went through that trauma so I can understand other women that experienced that trauma. Not only that, I went through that trauma so I could understand other dynamics, and I could understand how to overcome, how to not allow that particular situation, that one dynamic, to rewrite the rest of my life. Because if you let it, it will rewrite. So once you understand what that core is, and you pay attention and you identify, okay, what it is, now you got to start looking at it different. I always tell people to rewrite the story. Even if you did, after a certain point, was just making choices that was triggered from that particular situation. Rewrite your story. That's not who you are right now. Rewrite your story. Understand that I'm telling you everything, whether it's trauma for the heart, you've been, sexually abused. Every dynamic is it's already written before you came here. When you start getting in a space where you realize that it was already in divine order before you came here, then you'll start to understand that there is a bigger purpose. There's a bigger mission. There's other dynamics. You'll start to detach from the things that we tend to suck ourselves in and create more hurt, more pain, not only for ourselves but others, but we start to do other things. So really be intentional about rewriting the story, re-understanding, relearning what that whole point, that whole lesson was about. What was it there to teach you? What did it build in you? Because some of us is way too naive. So sometimes it builds that energy of protection, or it helps us realize that we need to be more compassionate, or we need to be more whatever it is that it triggers in you. But definitely rewrite the story and deal with it from that space. Definitely do not hide it or put it in the closet or under the rug, because that ain't gonna help. Because when it pop his ass back out, it don't pop out at the right time at all. I hadn't dealt with mine, and when mine popped out, I was like at the peak of my career. Look, at the peak of my career, engaged, with my own shop. Like, so much was going on at the time that mine decided that it wanted to like pop out and say, hey, you forgot about me. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, no, we're not doing that. But you want to make sure you handle it effectively. Let me go back and read. You was always fighting a man. You must have came in a warrior. Pure magic. You say you was always fighting and you was mad. What was going on, boo? You ain't come in the world fighting and mad. I don't know. Because my baby boy, he came in the world fighting and mad. Peace, beloved. What if your parents are not triggers? Let's be clear. And I really think I want to do a course on parents, but your parents are not triggers. Okay? Your parents are the portals that brought you here. That's it. Y'all be putting a whole lot of responsibilities on these parents. They're the portals that you chose. Let's be clear, you chose them. When you was deciding what you wanted to learn this time around, you chose them. When you decided whatever you needed to master, you chose them to come through. You said, oh, I'm going to pick that person. They're the perfect people to, develop what it is I need to develop in this lesson. So if they're your triggers, per se, if they're your lesson, figure out what are you supposed to be learning when it comes to your parents. A lot of times we look at our parents from a certain perspective. And the one thing that I fuss at all of y'all about is the fact that, listen, they had their own trauma. They had their own, crazy chaos, all of that going on before they became your parent. And it's real easy for us to say, well, they shouldn't have had no kids. Then your ass wouldn't be here, crazy. Just because your parents was traumatic, traumatized and hadn't dealt with their trauma, you gonna say that they shouldn't have had you? That's stupid. You got a divine purpose. You chose to came. I'm pretty sure some of them mamas didn't want to have no kids at the time they had them. I'm just saying, let's keep it real. So when you came through, you have to understand what is outside of the aspect that you chose them to come through. What are they supposed to be teaching you? Because it could just be compassion for the fact that, they don't have the courage or the strength to work on their trauma. And y'all got to quit trying to force y'all parents and y'all grandparents to work on some shit that they don't want to. It might not be meant for them to work on that this lifetime. It might not. You just need to be compassionate and understand and say, I know you went through a lot, so that's why you act the way you act. And I'm going to leave it there. Stop trying to drag them on the spiritual journey because your ass on the spiritual journey. Because you decide you wanted to be the generational curse breaker. You you came to break a specific curse in your family lineage. You came to be a certain person and serve a certain dynamic. Okay? You did. They are only a vessel. They're only a vessel. So they might not be the best person. They might not, in your mind, been the best, nurturer. But guess what? They did the best they could with the information that they have at that moment. They did the best that they could with the way that they knew how to survive. I can attest to that. If you talk to like my middle daughter, She gives me a run for my money sometimes. She'll tell you, like, she'll be like, she felt like she should have had a better mama. She do not feel like I was the best mama. And that was because, one, she a Disney child, so she grew up on Disney, number one. So she felt like I should have been at home baking cookies and inviting all the friends in the neighborhood to my house. I don't do that. I'm not that type of mama. I wasn't her. I'm not going to be at the bake sales. I'm sorry. I was too busy building my empire at the time. I was too busy trying to build and cultivate what it was that I was doing from an entrepreneur perspective. So I was a different type of mama. I always have had, like, you know, a shaved side of my head and wore crazy loud colors and very artistic, and I was on tour and just doing a whole lot of stuff. Okay. So she felt like that wasn't what I should have been doing. Even as far as relationship wise, like, well, why you ain't just stay with my daddy? Because your daddy was crazy. But that's a whole nother story. So it's certain dynamics that, you know, if you listen to her tell a story, that was her perspective. Yet she never went without nothing. Yet she's always stayed in a great neighborhood, wonderful environment. Always been an honor student. That's the one thing I don't play about is grades. So phone always was the latest phone outside of mine. But that wasn't enough for her. She wanted me to be that stay at home, baking cookies, meet you at the door type mama. So I was like, I'm gonna need you to come back to reality. I'm a single mom. That ain't about to happen. I'm sorry. So you gotta look at it like everybody has their perspective, and we all have this ideal of what we think our parents are supposed to be. Yet they are who they were supposed to be. They brought your ass in the world. They ain't have no responsibility to you after that. Stop putting that pressure on them. They ain't have no responsibility to you. If they do anything besides that, if they did anything besides that, it was a gift. It was a blessing. So stop being in a space where you're expecting these people to be healed, whole people when they give birth to you. You know, it's like, stop being that parent that's like, oh, that person. I'm like, your parents grew up in some interesting times. So you have to be very aware of what they're still holding on to. What grief are they still dealing with? What energy are they still holding on to from generations before them? Okay? Because if you're not paying attention to that, then you are doing yourself a disservice and you're not being very compassionate to them. And that's unfair, considering that you chose them to be a portal. I'm just saying. Your mama about died trying to have you. For real, for real. So anytime a woman actually puts her body through that type of transformation, you done about died. Everything. That's what all mamas. So, y'all got to be in a space where y'all really are more compassionate and understanding. And I know some of our parents do some crazy shit. Some of y'all, I done heard some stories. I'll be like, ooh, child, you better love her from a distance. Love her. You still love and have compassion and still pray for your parents. You still light candles for them parents. But it don't mean that you have to have daily interaction with them where you engage in confrontation. It could just mean that you send them a message, because when you change your perspective of that person, when you change the energy that you putting out to that person, I promise you it starts to shift. And they won't try you like they tried you. They won't create those dynamics no more, because you shifted. So you have to shift who you are. Your parent is that one that always like to pick an argument. That's when you just be like, send them that morning text, I love you, and let it go. That don't mean that you have to talk to them. That don't mean that you have to engage in any type of conversation. Be consistent at being the higher self that you are. Don't allow them to pull you into their lower vibration, because the reality is that they're probably not even operating on the same frequency as you. Let's be real. Some of us were lucky. Some of us had parents that they were operating on a certain frequency, so it was easier to deal with them. Some of our parents, okay. Yeah, if you got mommy issues, like, y'all gotta take time to heal that, especially with your mothers. Not to discredit our fathers, but definitely with our moms. You have to understand what might have been going on at the time that she gave birth to you. Even if she didn't want you, and might have said that, even if she didn't want you, okay? Even if she's, you gotta understand what was her trauma. What is that woman going through? Because a lot of times we get very judgmental of people and actually have more forgiveness with people than we do our own parents. And that's some crazy shit to me. Like, you can forgive this person. You don't even know them. You don't even know their middle name. But you won't do that with your own mom. Your grandma wake up on 10? Yeah. And that's what I think we have to have, that constant reminder that we came into the world. Like I told my daughters, I remember when they got to a certain age, I was like, I might not have been the mama that y'all wanted, but I was the mama that you had. I was very free spirited. I allowed them to gravitate to whatever it is they gravitated to. So I have a daughter that, the one that, of course, they feel like I'm not the perfect mom. That she actually is Christian faith. And then my other daughter is Buddhist. So I've never pushed religion on them. I've never made them walk my walk. I've been very intentional on making sure that you decide what's best for you and your journey. Now, even though my daughter that's Christian faith, she still has a very open perspective. So she's probably not your average Christian, but that's what her father's side of the family, really heavily believed in. Well, I ain't gonna say that, but to a degree, that's what that was. So I allowed them to develop into the people that they needed to develop into. But I had my own trauma. Like, I still had dealt with my own trauma. And that's what I had to tell them. I was like, I might not have been a perfect mom, but I was still trying to work through my own trauma. I was still trying to work through being raped and molested repeatedly. So I had my own stuff that I was still carrying with me by the time I brought them into the world. And I still was trying to figure my way out. And I still was trying to map out my journey. So that didn't go away because I became your mother. That still was there. And that was still something that I was still focused on and trying to be intentional on in my own healing, which is why my daughter was reading damn books like Black Child Care at the age of 5. So, it's crazy because my oldest daughter, we have a different relationship because she's the one that is Buddhist. And she's the one that have read pretty much every book that I read from that age. She grew up with me pretty much. So she read everything I read. And I know that we tend to be able to talk about different things and map things out from a different perspective. The other one, though, she cool. She's a wonderful sister. She's an amazing person when it comes to her siblings. She's still trying to work through what she needs to work through in her own journey and maybe get out of that entitlement, because it's not just with me, it's with everybody. So, but yeah, being compassionate, knowing we had our shit too before we had y'all. Shoot. And that shit did not disappear. It was still there, like waving, probably. Okay, and sometimes that affects us differently. Some people go through coping mechanisms like dealing with, like, becoming drug addicts, alcoholics. Okay. So you got to be in a space where you pay attention to what it is that your parents might have went through. What was their trauma? It's the Luna energy. You say your children were lucky you started on your journey. That's good. I had started on my journey when I had my children, and it's so funny because I had a whole tribe helping me raise my babies. I always had a whole tribe. I've always had my parents, my grandparents. They've always had an abundance of love surrounding them. But it's still whatever that child's journey is. Now, my boys, even though they're energetic as hell, they still, to me, have a whole nother type of energy and understanding. So I think children come in with a certain energy anyway. It's up to us to be very intentional on how we cultivate these young gods and goddesses. That's the one thing I can say, that when I was younger, I wish I would have been way more intentional with what was going on in their environment, because it wasn't just me raising them. It was my parents raising them. It was my grandparents raising them. So they was instilling that old school conditioning along with my free spirited ass. So that'll make your ass confused within itself. Yeah, but children they're a blessing. I can't wait until this new edition that I'm having comes. I'm super excited about the journey with my new little one. All this testosterone, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I ain't got nothing but a whole house full of boys. It will be a house full of boys. Lord, somebody pray for me. How to deal with them when they have an episode on 10 so the energy won't pass on to me. Block that shit. The biggest thing for you to do is to block that energy, beloved. My phone pauses, so I don't know why. Thank you. You want to block energy. When somebody is acting up or doing whatever they're doing, block that. Don't get in a space where you engage. I'm telling you, like I always talk about my father. We did not have a great relationship. I was almost 28 before I healed that relationship. Okay? And it literally was, oh, I can tell you on a certain energy. I'm gonna leave that alone. Let me go on. Okay, just tell my mama that I said that I stopped by, or tell her I called, and call me when she get home. Soon as I would see that he was in a certain mood, I would not engage. Okay, so don't engage. Don't feel like you gotta pull into it. And if you do engage, remind yourself while you're engaging to pull back out. Like, no, I'm not getting ready to let you pull me into this energy. You have to be mindful so you can check it quick. Okay? You want to check it quick. Oh, yay, you had your first son 7 weeks ago. Ashe. Congrats, mommy. Yeah, but don't engage. Don't engage, y'all. That's the biggest thing that you want to do, is not to engage. If you engage, that is what pulls your energy in there. If you engage, that's what create that cycle going. Because if they don't have anybody to engage with, then you don't have that issue. Luna, you probably want to evaluate that, because me and my mom always had a wonderful relationship, and she wasn't no joke to play with. But me and my father, I fought with him like my whole life. We done exchanged some real harsh words with each other. So, and it was never me picking a fight with him. It was just me. I'll be sitting there minding my own business. We might be having a conversation, and he'll say something that triggered the shit out of me. Because his mouth was reckless. His mouth's still a little reckless. It ain't like it was, but now it doesn't trigger me the same way. I just be like, that's my father. Like when he said, oh, there she go with that witchcraft shit. The old me would have been triggered. Now I'd be like, oh, okay. I just laugh. Like, if you say so, Daddy. Or yesterday he was getting on me about me telling the boys Santa Claus wasn't real because my youngest son was asking me about Santa Claus. And I was just like, why would I lie to them about something like that? I said, and then if y'all gonna say it's about Jesus, let's really get into that. But I didn't let it trigger and make me engage with it. Okay, I was jokingly like just saying certain stuff because it was funny to me. Like, y'all, how many kids I got? How many times I done told all my babies this, and I was like, y'all, Santa Claus is y'all grandma and papa. When they trying to set up them trees and all them gifts, please recognize that they come from grandma and papa. They don't come from no imaginary man coming down the chimney. We're not giving him no credit for that, okay? So he was like, well, you stealing the joy of Christmas. I said the joy of Christmas should be them spending time with their family. They don't care if it's Santa Claus or you that bring them gifts. They still gonna play with them. They still gonna be just as excited. I'm trying to go back and read. Exactly. Y'all are right on point. That is definitely what it is, Luna. You just pinpoint exactly what it is that why you look at your parents. Do my parents not? My mom does. My mom has been an amazing supporter no matter what part of my journey I've been on. No matter what it was that I was doing, she's always been the one that, like, even when I was doing fashion and making clothes for celebrities, my mom has always been my number one cheerleader. When I was doing music and on tour and having my own shows, my mom has always been my number one supporter. My father has been the one that when he see me doing certain stuff, he don't care. He's still sending me job applications. My father, I was like, I think the week that I was on a newspaper here, I was on the cover of Creative Loaf, and my father still was in my inbox sending me job applications to UNCC. So he is very realistic. He's a Capricorn, so he's very like, how this going, paying out for your future type of person. My mom is always like, you always helping or trying to, support in whatever way she could support. So I have two definitely different energies, and she's a Taurus, but she's very creative. So she's always supported me no matter what it was that I was doing. So it's always funny. It's funny dealing with the two. I'm just trying to go back. Yeah, they funny. They are so funny, but I appreciate them. If it was not for them, I definitely have understood more so in the latter part of my life now why, they were my parents. Like, if they have taught me so much and have instilled in me so much. I definitely could not have the tenacity that I have. I could not have nothing that I do without them, because they have always supported in their own way. Okay, so I'm super thankful for who they are and what they serve in my life. You say your mom's supportive and your dad is crazy, but that craziness serves its purpose. If my dad was not the man that he was, the one thing that I say, like, even though we had differences for majority of my life, he instilled so much for me to look at from a logical perspective. He was very a real logical voice, and he was only trying to keep me out of some of the shit that I was getting into at the time. I just didn't want to hear it because it was coming from him. If it would have came from anyone else and the message was delivered probably a little bit different, I probably would have listened. I didn't want to listen because of the way he was delivering it. I always felt like, hey, you can't be my real daddy. I used to be like that, Mama, he can't be my real daddy. And I look just like him. But I was like, he can't be my real daddy. My real daddy wouldn't talk to me like that. It's parents are a beautiful thing. Let me get off this topic, but parents are a beautiful thing. We just have to be compassionate. We have to understand that they had their own journey before they got here with you, before they became your parents. They have their own mission. And when we remove possessiveness and expectations from that dynamic, we are able to deal with them on a human level. And that's the most important part. Sometimes we forget to just deal with people on a human level. Okay. Grand Rising. Do I know how many people I'm going to mentor in the coming year? I'm only doing 10 slots. So 10 in advance and 10 in my basic class. I'm not doing more than that because I felt like that's all I could handle. I always like to keep my dynamic small and intimate. Maraway, I just read what you said. But it all tumbled down for a reason. So always understanding why things tumble down, why we go down the paths we go down at that time. You know, like sometimes we don't understand it at the moment. I ain't gonna lie, like my mom having her stroke last year, it changed the trajectory of our whole family because she's always been like the big mama of the family. She's always been very strong. So for her to not be walking in her full power that we knew her from, it changed how we see everything and how we did. It changed my life tremendously, not just because of her, but more of me seeing what she went through. And now knowing like that's what made me really be on something. Now I don't care what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna make sure that I always live my life authentically to me. Make sure that I'm always being very genuine to my purpose and my journey, because I'm not getting ready to be working for nobody or doing something that I don't like and then get to like the, you know, the elder years in my life and have regrets or feel like, you know, I didn't accomplish what I needed to accomplish. Like I can't do that. So she definitely changed my perspective on life. And how we live it. That's what made me be like, let me go sit my ass down, because I get that workaholic concept from her and my father. And I've seen too many people fall from that or whatnot. But yeah, mentorship programs, I'm only taking, so I guess it would be a total of 20 consultations. I'm only taking a certain amount of those next year as well. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, it's going to be a little different next year. I am only doing one retreat, maybe two, because somebody trying to finagle me into another one. So I might do 2 retreats next year and a couple of workshops. But I'm going to have a slower year because, you know, with the new baby coming, I know I'm going to be more intentional on wanting to love on my baby and have my baby strapped to me everywhere I go. So I can't do all the stuff that I did this year moving forward. So, and then I got supposed to be going to Africa next year. I don't know. That was already planned before I decided to start this mommy process all over again. So we'll see. I don't know. You're welcome. So let me get off of here because it's getting ready to count me down. Like I said, the ones of y'all that's in the class, just look out for an email. Just in case you didn't get to print everything, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I send y'all an email with all the information in it as well. All right. I love you guys. I'll probably be back on here a little bit later to do some stuff. Okay. All right. Peace, y'all.